Well, today I wanted to do a teaching, and that everybody was fine with letting me doing off of First Corinthians 8. And so the reason I wanted to do this is because, well, again, helping Brennan with his health and kosher page, and sadly, I have not seen any other Torah teacher teach this chapter correctly. Um, I do think part of the problem is we don't have the other side of the letter, meaning the question and the additional information that was with the question. Okay. Um,
If I
Go ahead.
may,
Yeah, go ahead.
I also think part of the problem is the desire to make nice with people, even if they're completely off base. I do think that's part of the problem as well with some Torah teachers. They want to make nice.
Oh,
Uh,
nice with what other people have taught.
yeah,
Um, I could see that because if you bring out, and I'm not going to call anybody out specifically. That's not my purpose here. Um, but to add to that, I think there's also com confusion in the word what is actually in Torah on this subject. Okay. Um,
mhm.
so I think there's probably multiple parts. I can see how they don't want to call someone else out, but you could just teach what is right without naming someone. But
Right.
on that, I will just say this. Paul did call out false teachers by name at times. So it's not wrong to do that. I know it's not very polite, but I
Yeah,
do believe, and I see it in what he writes, Paul was Torah compliant. Okay. Now, I
yeah.
know that's controversial, but most people who say he wasn't, don't, first of all, they don't know Torah. And second of all, they don't really know Paul either. So,
So yeah,
I
I was just gonna say, yeah, Paul was not anybody's safe space.
no,
no,
no.
no. And I think it was Romans 7 even brings out that he writes to the teachers.
Mhm.
And the teachers are the people who were ordained in the priesthood to be teachers, okay, in various callings or positions, okay.
And normally,
Not,
would they not be more learned?
yes, they would be, and to get in that position is, first of all, if it's done correctly, is you're doing Torah in the first place, and then you're helping others. Like, oh, that's the purpose of life. Do it yourself
Uh,
and then help others.
you mean
Right.
you mean it's not just something that happens automatically when you turn 14?
No, no. In fact, just on that point, I know Ben's joking around, but in Joseph Smith's day, it was the Aaronic priesthood was only given to adults.
Yeah.
25 Hebrew to be specific, which is 24 Greek. It was in 1920, give or take, when the LDS Church changed it to give it to teenagers because other churches were doing things with teenagers then also, and they didn't know what to do with the competition, so they modified this church structure and priesthood um, requirements
Yeah, wait.
without, and I will add, without a revelation. They gave in to peer pressure of the world
Not the
by
first
what
time that's
claim they
happened,
say.
but anyway, we don't have to go there.
Yeah, so a couple of those times that it happened, you see official declarations at the back of the Doctrine and Covenants.
Which were lies, but anyways, well, not to get into those, but yes.
But anyway, we're sidetracking seriously. Uh,
Yes. So the LDS Church does change their policies and doctrines because of the pressure of the world. It has even happened recently, and it continues to happen. But anyways, that's not why we're here. We're to talk about 1 Corinthians 8, which is about food offered unto idols. Okay. Um, but I guess to start off with, there's probably a couple things we should do from the five books of Moses to kind of help get started.
Yes.
So we'll look at this in a little bit because that's New Testament. That's some history that Ben's going to go over in a little bit. I think actually, well, we'll see what happens, but Ben will go over the history. So, but here is where we're actually told not to partake of food offered unto idols. So, it's Leviticus 17:7 and Deuteronomy 32, 37, 38. So, Josh, will you read Leviticus 17:7, whatever edition you prefer to read? Sometimes.
Sure. I'll just read the top one. That's fine.
Okay.
Yep. And they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations.
So, Ben, you're a lot better at history uh, than I am. Can you get into some of the history of offering sacrifices unto devils or demons or goat demons, but anything other than Yahweh, right?
Yeah, technically, okay, so that is actually a really long history. You can go back into the new translation of Genesis and see that people were worshiping um, Satan rather than Yahweh, uh, uh, choosing to worship Satan. Um, uh, Rather than listening to mommy and daddy and worshiping Yahweh. So that it starts from there. The mystery religion was in full effect and was a large part of the combination of Cain, uh, which grew to include, which eventually was headed up by Lamech with his plural wives, who ended up rejecting him after he killed a man simply because he was about to betray the oath of the combination.
Well,
So his
and he told his wives about
and he
it.
told his wives about it. So he was rejected and cast out. But the point is, this mystery religion was a large. This mystery religion almost always runs hand in hand with the grand secret combination.
Yes.
And so that's when Noah got on the ark. You would think and all those mystery religion practitioners were on the outside of the ark, and pounding on the door until they slowly drowned. Um, when they were when that happened, you would think that the mystery religion died, but Satan has a way of being able to appeal to people, um, even those who have walked with Yahweh. And such was the case with Ham. Ham.
Right,
Uh,
which is the same how he did it with Cain. He started working with him and tempting him. It's the same thing, right?
the same
Same thing
thing.
that happens with us all.
Yeah.
And so you have Ham, Canaan, and so you have with Ham and Canaan, and eventually down to oh come on, what's his name? The great Nimrod.
Nimrod.
Nimrod, yeah,
Nimrod, the
great
mighty
hunter.
hunter.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, he who destroyed the souls of millions of men. Um, but so Nimrod, all the way down to Nimrod, and with Nimrod and Semiramis, and Tammuz. Interestingly enough, those people actually existed. Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz actually did exist. and around these people were deified and became the next uh, iteration of the mystery religion expressed in paganism.
You can still shoot when you want.
And
So
so,
with this, Ben, did they have offerings to their false gods that they ate?
yes, yes. Oftentimes, in all forms of the mystery religion, the offerings, rather than being eaten by the priests, were actually resold after they were officially roasted. They were resold.
Which then were eaten by the people, right?
Yep.
And that does bring up an interesting thing. I'll say this. It's interesting how the rabbis think they have to bless food before it gets sold, which they get money or priestcraft off of that. I could see how it could be patterned off of that, or it could be patterned off of how um, they do things that are in the temple and force it upon others also, or it could be a combination of both.
Yeah, so you see some of that stuff both in the broadening of the application of temple purity. You see some of that in the you do see some of that in the nowadays. You see that kind of manifested in the blessing of matzah
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
before sale. Um, so
I also in the scriptures I see it in Acts 10, but that's another subject. But
Yeah, and in the Book of Mormon, it states that it was because of priestcrafts that Yeshua was killed.
yes, yes, it does. That's in Second Nephi, I think. But anyways,
Now the thing is that this corruption came from Babylon, just like the corruption that corrupted the way as Yeshua taught it, came from Babylon through Greece.
yeah,
So Babylon has been the great corrupter of the way um, throughout history, and it is also Babylon the Great is the mother of the mystery religion,
yep.
and with all of its means for raising money for itself.
Yes, yes. So, including selling offerings that were made unto their false gods.
And just to cement that connection between the mystery religion and the great just running the risk of sounding of sounding uh, sensational. The great cabal and the mystery religion. What is it that secret combinations are put together for, according to the scriptures? That men may murder and get gain.
Yeah, and keep it secret.
And
And
what is the purpose of the mystery? And what is the purpose behind practically every ceremony of the mystery religion?
murder
To
and
get
gain.
murder and gain.
Yeah, yeah. Satan has been inspiring people even before Cain. It's just Cain really embraced it, um,
Mhm.
and took it to the full.
He organized it. He
Yeah.
organized it.
Well, and I think it's because he took it to the full measure too.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah,
became the head.
he fully embraced it.
Yeah, yeah. And because he
He
fully
took it
embraced it,
into
he organized
himself.
it.
He took it into himself.
And he saw its potential for increasing his power.
Yes.
Correct.
I completely agree there. So, to summarize a lot of that, they did do offerings of their food unto their false gods that they then sold that other people then ate. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a very small summary that deals with the subject at hand. So, Andrew, can you read Deuteronomy 32, 37 through 38? I'll highlight it for you, and hopefully it's...
Sure, yeah. Hey. And he shall say...
Oh, one thing I should say just before. Sorry, Andrew, my bad.
Fine.
So in this chapter, Moses is listing things that they should not be doing right here, okay?
Right.
And this is an additional thing that goes along with the subject at hand, okay? Sorry about the interruption. I should have said that
No,
before.
you're fine. You're fine.
Go ahead.
Okay. And he shall say, where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection.
Okay, so
Where are
there's a
your gods
couple.
now?
Go. Sorry, say that again, Andrew.
I said, where are your gods now?
Yeah. That is part of what they're saying here, or Moses is saying here. He's also bringing out how that these pagans are offering food offerings to their false gods, and including wine offerings, so also drink offerings.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's going to do you no good, so you shouldn't be doing it with them, correct?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I like how that's phrased in a question. Like it's, did they really eat these sacrifices? Did they really drink these drink up?
Because if they did, then let them rise up and help you and be your protection. Oh, but they didn't, did they? No.
No, you got
ate those offerings.
You got them resold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, as in, I think Ben's bringing out how the priest prepared, offered it, and then sold it, and then you
Ate it.
Israelites, who are supposed to be following Yahweh, bought them, ate them, and drank them. And you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so here is two spots in the 5 books of Moses, which has a lot of concentrated, I said it right this time, Torah in it, right?
Yes.
In addition to history. And there, before we go read what we're actually the main focus on, let's do a little bit more. Because part of this is not doing things pattern off of how the pagans worship their false gods. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And not participating in it knowingly. Okay. And we'll get in that in a little more as we read through the verses. Brennan, will you read Leviticus 18:3 for us, please?
After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Mm.
So these ordinances are their ceremonies, okay? And their ceremonies and how they worship their false gods, okay? Let's see. Zach, are you willing to read?
Sure.
Okay, will you read this bottom one, Deuteronomy 12:30 for us, please?
Can you expand the text?
It's at 140. Let me pause for a minute and let's see what we can do. Okay, will you read Deuteronomy 12:30 for us, please?
Yep. Take heed to thyself, that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise.
So this is basically saying the same thing. Don't do anything pattern after how the Canaanites, pagans, worshipped their false gods, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to pause a minute. Okay, so the overall principle here is don't do things after how the non-believers worship their false gods. And then we have some specifics here of don't eat the offerings that they make unto their false gods.
Mhm.
And Deuteronomy 32, 37 through 38 is the most obvious for that. I do see
Yep.
Leviticus 17:7. Um, I I ran out of time, but I was going to bring out the reference how you should not revere the names of false gods, but anyways, we'll just leave it at that. That also goes with it because when you're actively participating in these false worships, you're revering the god that it is sacrificed to. Okay, their
Rather the
character, their name. Go ahead.
rather the demon, devil, or Lucifer himself that
Yes,
that God is a representation of.
or
Right.
a particular aspect of Satan too, right?
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
Um, because ultimately you're either worshiping Yah or Satan.
Yes.
Yeah, there are but two churches, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes. Okay. So with that, let's go look at the controversial passage or chapter. I'm gonna maybe make it more the normal size. So, um, and then we can look at some other passages in the New Testament after that, okay, that help support that, and some history that I would like Ben to get into, um, because he's a lot better at history than I am. So the passage that's the most controversial is First Corinthians 8, and specifically 4 through 13. 1 through 3 doesn't really say much, okay?
Right.
So I'm just gonna ignore it. But one thing to keep in mind here as we go through these verses here, there is an overall principle that we need to remember that is taught in the New Testament. I believe it's going to be in the Old Testament also. I'll be honest, I don't know where. Okay. I don't know everything. Considering it's the same law and gospel throughout all time and eternity, it's going to be there.
Yeah, so the thing is whether it is specifically written in the New Testament or the Old, it is still Torah. It is still the revealed mind and will of Elohim. It is still
Yes.
his instructions for us.
And there's a lot of books from during the period of the Old Testament that we don't have. I have a post on that even lists the books that it mentions in the Old Testament that we don't have, and also gets into the council that decided what books were included or not. Um,
Mhm.
it's the canon has been decided by men for whatever reason, and I will admit there are two books that I exclude from the 66 books that are typical today, and that is the Songs of Solomon, which is disgusting. I want to apologize for that, and also um, Esther.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is not of Yahweh. Especially when you really get into the details of what she did.
And what she
Uh,
has people
Quite
be doing,
devious. Yes, it was quite devious. Yes, yes.
yeah.
yeah. And when you get into the details, it reveals of how they are worshiping. There is so much of the
Oh yeah, the cakes of
Babylonian. There's so much Babylonian in there.
oh yeah, the cakes of heaven for one.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll just leave it at that. That's a whole nother subject. Um, so I mean, do what you want, but those two books are not of Yah. Okay. And now, Songs of Solomon, Joseph Smith did specifically state that, and I agree with him. He never did. He never touched the Book of Esther. I do believe he would have said the same thing if he had. I understand that's my opinion, but I have researched it and I've read it. It's not what it claims to be. Okay. And the more you know, and the more you see when you read. And that book is not of Yah. So, or both of those books are not of Yah. So, with that though, let's get into Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 8. But before we read that, I do want to quote this First Thessalonians 5:22. Abstain from all appearance of evil. Okay. Now, um, can be confusing of Paul not knowing what the question is and what additional information that they said with their question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But considering how we just read Torah and how that we are not to eat meat, worship or sacrificed unto idols, um, and how we are to abstain from all appearance of evil. So even if we're being righteous, if it looks like our righteousness could be evil, we should not do that. Okay.
That's one of those things that is classified as a mistake. It's just something to stop. It's not something that you necessarily have to.
Yeah, Ben's right. It's not a sin. It is a mistake, and it's something you learn with some wisdom. And this letter gets into this. This chapter letter gets into this actually. But it's not a sin. It's a mistake. Okay. And as we read through this, you will see that there's a couple verses that I have retranslated a few things. Some don't mean much, some mean more. Okay.
Yep.
One being mistake, which I think is in verse 12 or 13. One of those, one of the bottom ones. Um, so, but we'll get into it. We're not going to go look at all the interlinears and the Greek words. I'll have the links in the notes so that we can get into it if you want. Because it's going to be a bit anyways, but I'll have the resources in the notes so that way you can do that on your own. Okay. So we will start with verse 4, which actually has a JST in it, or Joseph Smith translation, or better stated as Yahweh, a new translation, as stated by Yahweh in the DNC. Okay. Um, Brendan, will you read verse 4? So the crossouts are the removals, just in case it's not obvious.
As concerning, therefore, the eating of those things which are in the world offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing, and that there is none other Elohim but one.
Okay, so this partly gets into how the food itself is actually, if it's actually designated as food, it still can be food, okay? And we'll get into some of those details as we get further into the letter. Um, and basically, if you don't know it was sacrificed on an idol, it's still food. They didn't poison it. It's and their so-called witchcraft is not real, so it didn't really change
Yeah,
anything in the food.
yeah. The makeup of the food itself is not changed, but uh, what is there is um the sin lies
In the support of
in the support and full participation in the ceremonies surrounding pagan worship.
I would add the knowing in this case, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing where it came from, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Knowing if you knew it came from an offering on an idol, you should not eat it. And it gets
Right.
more obvious as we read through this, and even other statements in other places from Paul.
Well, there's some
Right.
interesting words in this verse, however. We know that an idol is nothing, and that there is none other Elohim but one. So he's basically stating that these idols, these gods that these people worship, are nothing.
Yeah, Abraham said the same thing in Genesis,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in saying this, he's not actually speaking. He's not actually coming out of pocket.
No, he's just stating a fact here.
Yeah.
He's reminding them actually to help build building blocks or connecting the dots of why he's saying what he's saying here, right?
Right.
Josh, will you read 5 and 6 since I have them together? Just
Sure. For though there be that are called Elohim or judges, whether in heaven or in earth, if there be gods, Elohim or judges many, and lords many, but to us there is but one Elohim, the Father, of whom are all things, or Torah, and we in him, Yahweh, and one Yahweh, Yeshua HaMashiach. Ooh, that's beautiful. By whom are all things, and we by him.
so it's just like saying that there's only one ultimate Elohim, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Or one God.
Right.
For the Greek translation that I
You mean
hate.
there's not three? There's not three?
No, I'm a modalist. So there's two modes, Father and the Son, and then the third part, which is from Lectures on Faith 5, is not a personages because there's only two personages according to Joseph Smith. Is Torah. Okay.
Or
It's the mind and
Ben,
will.
Ben, it
Mind and
depends
will.
on how bad your bell got rung.
Ah, there you go. That's a
On
funny
how
one.
many you see.
Yes, yeah, I guess it does, Andrew. That's a funny way of putting it. Yes. Um, but there's ultimately one Elohim, which goes along the first division of Torah, right?
Yep.
How we should only the person we should worry the most about what thinks about us is Elohim. It's not saying we shouldn't think about what others think, it's just saying the one that we should worry about the most. Okay.
Right.
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 Because he does acknowledge the presence of Elohim, of many Elohim, um, and or judges, and many lords. But there
Yeah,
is but
even in verse 4. And I would add that your spouse should be number 2.
mhm.
So you should worry about what she thinks, what about you're doing, um, or husband, depending on what sex
Well,
you're
yeah,
in.
and depending on the sex, right? Yeah, but
she,
yeah.
yeah,
Or
he or
sorry,
she.
gender,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
However the woke defines it, I don't follow that. But anyways, you should worry about what your spouse thinks because you should be serving them and also taking consideration of what their feelings are. But they are still not above Yahweh. They're just the next one after that. Okay.
Mhm.
So if they want you to break Torah and what he wants, don't follow that. If follow what they want within the bounds that Yahweh has set, Torah.
So
Okay.
for
Yeah.
so for us, there is but one. And so for us who are in the church of the firstborn, there is but one Elohim of most importance.
Yes. Yeah. And I think also this gets also along with the Shema, right?
Mm.
And modalism, because it's not two, it's one
One.
Elohim,
Yes.
which brings out how Yahweh is Elohim.
Yep.
It's not Yahweh and Elohim, it's Yahweh is Elohim.
Yep. Even the very Yeshua HaMashiach.
Yeah. So that is the point. Echad. That is a word meaning corporate oneness.
Yeah.
You have the two personages and the mind and will as a corporate oneness.
Yes. So I'm going to read verse 7, mainly because it has the most retranslations that I have done. So it'll just be easier if I do it. Okay. So I did start with the King James. Okay. And then I went to the interlinear, which I have the links here that will be in the notes. And looked at the words, which I'll have links in the notes that are right here. But howbeit there is not in every man that understanding, which was just in verse 5. Okay.
Right.
For some by custom. So this is getting into how Yahweh Elohim should be our main judge, which thus implies that we should be following his law, right? A judge judges us by his law or what he wants. So within his law is that the fact that we should not eat food offered unto idols, as we talked about earlier, right? And there was a couple verses. One, some of them were specific, and some of them were general on the overall principle. Correct? Okay. So, but for some, by customs, yes, I know that's not what's in the King James or other translations, but if you go look at the Greek 49:14, that is actually one of the definitions there. Okay, until now. And it's unto now because of their conversion. They joined Yahweh. And we'll talk about Acts 15 in a little bit, which are some of the minimum requirements to be baptized into the faith. Okay. But unto now, because of their conversion, meaning because of their conversion, they stopped following those customs. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And here's these customs: those of idol worship. Now, in King James, they just have idol, but of those makes a lot more sense, at least in modern English.
Right.
I'm no expert of 1611 English, so don't ask me. I have a hard enough. Yeah, I have a hard enough time with modern English, so I'm going to stick with that. But
Stephen, are you an expert in 1620 English?
No, but that's later than 1611. So
oh my bad. I was off by 9 years. My bad.
Yeah. Oh, are you off by Satan? Is Satan what makes you off?
Sorry. Couldn't tell you.
Anyways, so
he's speaking of the symbology of the number.
The nine.
I know.
Okay, so
ignorant.
Greek 3588. One of the definitions is those. I added a filler word of. Okay, just to follow with the flow with English. Because of the conversion, those of idol worship eat it. So I moved onto this hour into the same order that it was actually in Greek. King James moved it around for I don't know why. Anyways,
that's weird. Yeah,
it could have been a mistake or on purpose because there's a combination of both, and that I'm not gonna worry about it because I don't know the people. Idol worshipped eat it, the food, because it was, now that goes along with the Greek word 5613, thing offered onto an idol. And that's bringing out, they ate it because it was offered onto an idol. As in, they're doing it for false worship practicing.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I
it
should
was a
add
great.
that.
They knowingly ate it because it was offered to an idol.
It was great. It was a great honor and blessing to be able to eat the food from the God's table.
Oh yes, yes.
That was the custom. Yes.
Yes, yes, and it was an honor. I do remember that from various things I've learned growing up. It was an honor to eat the food offered unto them.
Mhm.
But that was their custom until they converted. Okay,
Yes.
and now these converts or weak believers, conscience has to be with discerning. But I did
Well,
decide to make it more explicit here than just discerning, knowing good and evil. Okay, because weak or lacking, and if you go to the definition of weak, lacking is one of them. Okay, is defiled or become
Or
impure
impure. Yeah.
or sinned. I should add that, right? Just because
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it right now. Um, so this is getting into how um, Yahweh gives this knowledge to all adults. Okay.
Yep.
Now, it is given to all adults in an unrefined manner, meaning you need to have the priests of Yahweh help you better understand what he is giving you by helping you think about it or chew about it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the person who says that the person who deludes themselves into thinking that they without without any education can properly understand the mind and will of Yahweh is revealed to them. You need a teacher. You've got to have a teacher before you can truly begin to understand.
Yes. Now, like with Adam, the teacher was actually Yahweh Elohim, who is Yeshua himself. Now, not many people get that privilege. Okay.
Right.
But for Adam's children, that teacher was for Adam's children and many of the successive generation, that teacher was Adam, who himself had spoken with Yahweh Elohim.
Initially, I will add initially. Okay.
Yeah.
And now, the reason I will bring that out is one of my favorite statements from John the Baptist: I must decrease, Yeshua must increase. So,
Yes.
in that, as we learn from our authorized leaders from Yahweh, um, and start keeping it what we're learning, we get closer to Yahweh and we start learning more from Yahweh directly.
Yeah. Well, we start uh, at the very least, even if you were receiving from Yahweh directly, you have a more reliable means of interpreting what you're receiving.
That's true also. Very good point there, Ben. Because you better understand his ways, and Yahweh does not contradict himself, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If he did, how could he,
Well, he would cease to be God.
but there's that, but then also, how would it be fair for him to have consequences for his contradicting word?
Right. Yes.
Because,
Yeah.
uh, as it is with other interesting people, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Right.
And that's not fair. I won't say
Yeah.
who, but anyways.
That is not
Yes.
a just
Yes.
Elohim.
Yes, that is not just. So, real quick, I'm going to read this one more time without um, the commentary and just read it straight with the translation. Howbeit
Right.
it there is not in every man that understandeth. For some by customs until now, uh, of those idol worship. Oh, I should put worshipers. That would make more sense. Sorry. Um, eat it because it was a thing offered unto idols, and their conscience being weak is defiled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I do understand this a little different than King James and other translations. Um, it does put the word of God in alignment with the word of Elohim.
Yeah.
God's a bad habit. Sorry about that. I don't like that habit. It still comes out occasionally. Go ahead, Ben.
So basically, what this does is it makes it so that Paul is not is not in conflict, because I wouldn't say that even with the previous that you're getting from the King James version that he's in direct contradiction, but he is in conflict with the words of Moshe, the words of Yeshua, even because Yeshua said, whoso relaxes or doesn't or makes smaller even the least of these commandments um
Shall be the least.
shall be least in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, and so that's from Sermon on Torah, or what most people call Sermon on the Mount, right?
So this understanding that this translation of this verse relieves that pressure.
Yes. So this one does have some significant corrections in it, right?
Mhm.
Some of the others are just maybe more moderizing in some of the other verses, in addition to some corrections. Um, Brennan, are you willing to read verse 8 for us? So, just so people are aware, I have the square brackets as notes and the squiggly brackets as translations. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But food offered unto idols that we didn't know about, offered us not to Elohim. For neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse, if we didn't know that it was offered to idols.
Yeah. So, the one glyph that he left out is about how offering food unto Yahweh has to be at the temple or tabernacle done by a Levitical priest. And they didn't have that in Corinth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is this. The Levitical priest was not to make that offering generally available to the general public.
Yeah, it had to be to a believer.
Yeah.
Right. Though this letter is to believers, just so we're aware here, within a city of non-believers, right?
Yeah, Corinth
Yes,
was
definitely.
of all the cities in Greece, Corinth was the most known for its wickedness and its adulterous adulterous and fornication adultery and fornication, as well as its uh, the the greatest temple to Aphrodite, the goddess, the Greek goddess of sex,
Sex.
uh,
Which
was
I will
located
just
there.
say this: Aphrodite is at some of the LDS temple veils, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you want to romanticize it and say love, that's fine. But she's goddess
It's
act.
not. It's
It's all about the sex. Yes.
it's sex. Outside of marriage, and I'll add that part.
Yeah,
Well, it's
the
what modern people call free love.
the
Yes. Yeah.
mains one of the primary centers of the city of Corinth was actually an was actually a place where streetwalkers were active.
Yes, or horse. I'll just call it
They
out.
plied their wares publicly. It was blessed. It was legal in the city of Corinth.
Yeah. So one thing to remember when in understanding the Corinthians letters, including other letters from Paul to other cities, is it's written to converts in cities that hated the way of Yahweh. Okay.
Yes, actively fought against it. Yes.
Yes, and so remember that context as you're reading through these letters of Paul. In addition to remembering or if not remembering, but go figuring out what Torah actually states, okay? Because that's very helpful in understanding, as Paul states in Romans 7:1, that he writes to those who understand the law, aka Torah. Okay?
Well, and
Paul, guess what? Paul didn't teach by the New Testament. It wasn't
No.
compiled yet. Paul taught by the Old Testament, which even with the controversies of whether if Torah is valid or not, which it is, okay, and there's a difference between Torah and Law of Moses. The Old Testament definitely teaches Torah is valid, and that's what
Timothy,
Paul taught from. Go ahead,
yeah,
Ben.
Yep.
in his epistle to Timothy, when he states all scripture is given unto man for reproofs and righteousness, etc., etc. He is talking about the Tanakh.
Or Old Testament, for those who don't know.
Yeah. And he is not talking about all these letters that, while they may have been held in the views of the people as being equal to the Tanakh, they were not yet compiled. They were not yet, in fact, many of them were not yet known beyond the place that they were written to.
Right. They were not yet codified. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had not been messed with by the early church fathers yet, or to be so that they could be made part of the canon.
Right.
Or misinterpreted.
Yeah.
But I would agree. Um, Paul, in fact, this gets into Acts 17, how he praised the Bereans because they went and tested his word against the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, as sometimes is referred to, or Tanakh, as we said it also, right?
Yep.
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 Um, as in, test me against what was taught before and make sure I'm in alignment with it, that I'm not teaching something new.
Well,
Right.
the reason he loves the Bereans is that they accept it and still test it.
Yeah.
They hear his teaching. This is good teaching if it pans out. And so they
Now,
test it.
let's go. Let's test it out.
Yeah. So, and Paul, just to make it clear, was an apostle after Yeshua's death and resurrection, which is the
Yes.
controversial time period. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I will bring out the commendeth actually does mean offered or offering, so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
most people don't know that word, so
Yeah. So.
I went with a more known word, offered.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of a nonchalant one, just more modernizing it.
Yeah.
Uh, anyways,
Yeah.
uh, Ben, will you read verse
Do
9
you
for
know
us?
what is it?
What was that?
Will you read verse 9, please, Ben?
Okay, I thought I heard something. Okay.
Yeah.
But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours, 1 Thessalonians 5:22, abstain from all appearance of evil, even when you are not being evil, become a stumbling block to them that are weak, lacking in knowing good from evil,
So, the
lacking
problem,
in discernment.
yes, discernment, yes. And I do agree That is a better way of saying those four words. I just being very explicit. And so I think what's going on here in verse 9 is that yes, you can actually, it's not a sin to eat with people who are eating food that are offered unto idols. Okay?
Most important thing to take from this particular verse is, okay, let's have a caution here, because he's talked about how food is still food and some of these other things, and how idols are nothing. There's but one Yahweh. There's but one Yahweh Elohim. And but now let's have a care, and now he's going to explain it.
Yeah. So he's like, if you don't really know if the food was offered unto idols, go ahead and eat it, okay? As we'll get into more as we go through this letter and other letters that he's written. It's okay, but be very careful, uh, because you might become a stumbling block that to someone who thinks that you are eating food unto idols knowingly, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually against the commandments, because as we went over earlier in the 5 books of Moses, that has a lot of consecrated. Thank you, just consecrated. I
Concentrated.
still said it wrong. Sorry.
It's all good.
Anyways,
Concentrated. Yes.
yes, that word of Torah inside of it. Okay. You need to be careful with the appearance that you're putting off, which goes along with First Thessalonians 5:22. Abstain from all appearance of evil, not just doing evil. It mean you can do righteousness, but look like you're doing evil, which goes along with what's going on in this letter here. Okay, that you could be eating food that is not offered unto idols next to people that who are eating food offered unto idols, and it looks like that you are eating food that
From
was
idols.
offered unto
Right.
idols, even though you're not, thus being a stumbling block to those who are just converts or weak in discerning or knowing good from evil.
Right.
Which could give them, which says later in the letter, encouragement to actually break Torah because they don't understand what you're actually doing.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So Josh, will you read 10 for us?
Sure. For if any man see thee, which hast understanding, sit at meat in the idol's temple, it will appear you are eating meat sacrificed to idols, which is what we were just talking about. Shall not the conscience or the knowing of good and evil of him which is weak, lacking, be emboldened or encouraged to eat those things which are offered to idols? So this is going over exactly what we just talked about.
Yeah. So I didn't know it was the next verse. Sorry, guys. I mean, I will admit I did some preparing today because we talked about how we're going to go over this today, but I don't have everything memorized. So basically, this is saying, and I'll just say it again: don't do something that looks like a sin, because those who are just converts or weak in the faith will think that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, and that they think it's okay to do because they're looking up to you.
They're following your example.
Yeah, they're following your example, or what they think your example is.
Correct. What they perceive your example to be. Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
I love that. I love that turn of phrase there. If any man see thee, That and the person which hast understanding is you. See thee which hast understanding, sit at meat at the idol's temple.
Yeah, don't make it look like you're doing something that's evil, which goes along
Mhm.
with
With
First Thessalonians 5:22.
abstain from all appearance of evil.
Now, I will say this gets into a translation I have later. It's not a sin, it's a mistake. Okay?
Yeah, it's something that you recognize that you've done.
Rain drums on the roof.
It's something that you recognize that you've done, and then you stop.
Yeah, it's a mistake, which means it was not the best, but not a
Mhm.
sin. There is a difference between mistakes and sins, okay?
Okay.
This is where you start learning wisdom.
Mhm.
Not
Ah,
being wise is not a sin. It's just not.
well, it's just something. Well, it's something that can be corrected.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a mistake, right?
Right.
So can I
You
read
you
10?
get wisdom by making mistakes.
Yes, yeah. Go
So
ahead.
can I read 10 and 11 together because they're actually the same idea, the same
Go
thing.
ahead. Go ahead.
For if any man see thee which hast understanding sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak or lacking in discernment be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols, and through thy understanding uh, shall the weak and evil perish because he thinks you are eating food offered to idols for whom Christ died? So in other words, you can cause them to sin by appearing
To
to
sin.
by appearing to sin. Um, and this will cause the new man in Christ to die.
Correct.
The new man in the
As
flesh
in to
dies.
sin, because in fact,
Yeah.
I should add
Yeah,
the note
sin.
here.
Well, sin is death. So,
Yeah, yeah. The consequence of sin is death, right?
mhm.
Which is why Yeshua had to die for us.
And this is why Paul is giving this caution. He's like, hey, look, you guys, the people, because you got to keep in mind that the letters that Paul wrote were to the teachers of the people in these cities that were full of unbelievers that were fighting tooth and nail against YHWH Torah,
Yep.
right? And he's
Absolutely.
telling these teachers, you have to be very careful how you present yourselves in public.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You can't just la 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 and do whatever you want, knowing
But
what you know.
in fact, even if it's not a sin, you need to be careful.
Right,
I want to add that because even if it's not a sin,
right,
be diligent and careful because of your example that may be misinterpreted.
right.
So now what you want to put this in contrast to what the Jews to what the Pharisees to what the Pharisaical teachers of the Jews who lived in these cities would do, how they would ostentatiously even avoid the marketplaces where the meats were sold.
The
To
meats that were offered to idols were
the
sold.
meats that
Right.
might have been offered to idols
Okay.
were sold. And it's they were just like and they were very self-righteous about the avoidance of anything koinos or common.
Is so this uh, this common goes into the part where common food can be eaten because it's actually is food.
Hmm.
The This gets into the issue where they were
Temple purity.
self-righteous and went to the fact that they would only eat food that was temple worthy.
Yeah, that was
Right.
from
which is going beyond the mark. But
Right.
Oh, well beyond the
anyways.
mark, but the
Yeah.
Pharisees were famous for that. But
And
anyway,
Yes.
what Paul is saying is that if you don't know that the meat is sacrificed to idols, you don't have to go to ridiculous extremes to make sure that you're not eating food sacrificed to idols. But if you do know that the food is sacrificed to idols, don't eat it.
Yes, a very good summary of these verses, Ben. So, and hopefully, as we're going through these verses with the commentary I've added, the glyphs, and the retranslations that I've done, it makes that obvious, right?
Yeah.
So, Zach, are you willing to read verse 12 for us?
But when ye err or mistake so against the brethren and wounded their weak or lacking conscience,
Discernment.
yeah, ye err
Against Mashiach.
against Messiah.
So it's
let's just carrying
it's
on
it,
with
I,
the
just
idea from
something
the
really
previous.
interesting here. When you err against the brethren, oh wait a minute. Aren't the brethren like the heads of the church?
What? No, it's the whole church.
Exactly. That's the point. In the LDS church, they often refer to their leadership as the brethren. So who are the rest of us?
Well, according to them, we're
We are the wren. We are the wren without the breath.
yeah, we're chattel according to them, but that's not scriptural. We are
But so
the church's
but
brothers.
yeah, scripturally the entire church is the brethren.
Yeah.
It's so you can have members of the brethren who have literally you can have members of the brethren who have very little discernment. Um,
Yeah.
and when we lead such to err by our apparent by apparent wickedness, then we have erred ourselves against Mashiach. We have sinned, not sinned. We've made a mistake in the eyes of Yeshua.
Yeah, and it's a mistake because it's actually you can eat among other sinners, okay?
Right.
Yeshua did it, okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
He did
the
it all the
problem
time.
is this gets into some wisdom literature or rules of
Yep.
thumb, okay? That it's not wise to appear that you're doing evil even though you're being righteous, okay?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's what this is getting at here.
Yep. Yeah. Um, yeah. Most of
And
it.
if you
Most.
go look at Greek 0264, one of the translation is error or and error goes into making a mistake. Okay, it's not
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Most of us lack the understanding that Yeshua had that allowed him to be able to do a lot of the associations that he did. Um,
hmm
that's not an excuse for not getting that understanding, but you need to understand that you lack it at this time, perhaps. You need to get it.
Perhaps. Yeah. hmm Yeah.
correct.
Oh, yeah. Me.
So Brennan, will you read verse 13 for us?
Wherefore, if meat make my brother in Yeshua to stumble or sin, I will eat no flesh, except when commanded, such as at Passover, while the world standeth, lest I make my brother in Yeshua to stumble or sin.
So Paul's making a point here. He does not want to appear to doing evil because he doesn't want to cause his converts or any convert into the church to sin. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so he goes so so he speaks very strongly to make a point. Um that I would rather not eat meat except as commanded than cause I would rather not eat meat, and of course the except as commanded.
We're right, because he does not forget Torah.
Yeah.
And he's writing to the teachers that
Mhm.
know that it's commanded to eat lamb at Passover, right?
Right. I would rather forego meat, except as commanded, than cause a
Then have
convert
that be the cause of somebody else
committing a sin. Right. Yes.
then have my eating of meat become a stumbling block for my brother. And
Right.
this comes back to that thing that we've been talking about a bit lately in these recordings, and that is, am I my brother's keeper?
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Everything in this points to that idea. Yes, you are your brother's keeper. You are uh, the things that you do have far-reaching consequences that you may not even be thinking about right now.
Right. None of us operates in a vacuum.
Right. And I'll just say this, being your brother's keeper goes along with the purpose of life. Coming to Yeshua, keep his Torah, and help the others to do the same. That's being your brother's keeper.
Boom.
Uh,
Boom.
so, so when Cain asks that question of Yahweh, he is it is a public denial of the authority of Yahweh
Oh, and his teachings
and his
Yeah.
teachings.
that he actually knew.
Hmm.
Oh, he knew.
So,
That's why he got so upset when his offering was rejected, because he knew why his offering was rejected.
so,
Yeah.
but
It was the wrong offering.
right,
Correct.
Among that, his heart was not in it, in addition.
exactly,
Right?
exactly. So, for a practical thing on this, you don't have to, when you go to the supermarket, you don't need to be looking at everything. Oh, was this sacrificed to an idol or what have you before you buy it?
Right. If you don't know, in fact, we'll get into some of these others in a little bit. Don't ask. Don't make a big deal out of it. Because the food, there's nothing wrong with it. What's wrong is if you're actively knowing participating in the false worship.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't do
So,
that.
yeah, bad plan.
Yeah. So, if you're done with that, Ben, let's go look at Acts 15.
Yeah.
So Acts 15 teaches the same thing, okay? Um, so the most obvious one is Acts 15:29. Andrew, can you read that for us?
Yes. That ye abstain from meats offered to idols and from blood, which is also part of Torah.
Which
And
is
from th-
from the blood is kosher law, just to be
yes,
specific.
It's
and from things
also
strangled,
yeah, it's
and from
also
fornication.
sorry, it's also it's also found in Genesis.
Yes, yes. It's in
Yes,
multiple places.
and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which ye keep yourselves, ye do well. Fare ye
Okay,
well.
so there it specifically mentions meats offered unto idols, which goes back. So Acts 15 is basically a summary of numbers 17 and 18
Mm.
plus one more, because those deal with three items, but it actually talks about four things that converts need to do. The fourth one has to do uh, go to church, basically modern language, and learn more of Torah in
Right.
modern
Yeah,
language.
and
Um,
the first two have to do with kosher law
I so
and avoiding food sacrificed to idols.
Oh.
yes, so so let's go look at verse 20 because there's a couple things that goes along with the first one in verse 29.
Mhm.
That I would say it's more about kosher stuff. It's more about pagan worship.
Yeah, yeah.
And verse 20 makes it more obvious, in my opinion, on that. But the
Okay.
way they're mentioning it, the fact that you can eat the meat if you don't know, if you do not know, it was offered to idols. So to me, brings out it's not about kosher law. It's about worshiping how the pagans worship, or do anything pattern after how the pagans worship their false gods.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay. And hopefully the 3 times makes that clear enough. I'm putting a focus on that.
Let's take a look at verse 20 here.
Okay, Ben, you read that for us.
Not
Okay.
nearly strong enough focus.
Okay.
But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of
or
idols.
defilement. I like. Now
Yeah.
both are fine. This is more of a personal preference here of mine here, and I'll explain that in a little bit.
And from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood. The Greek word translated to fornication is porneia, which means sexual transgression.
Yes. In fact, since Ben's bringing that up, I will make a note of that. Just like I was not focused on that.
So basically, stay away
It's
from the worship of
It's SSIONS, by the way.
Yeah, my spelling's not my
and
strong.
from things strangled and from blood. So basically, stay away from idol worship. Don't be a pervert, and
Don't be a vampire.
keep kosher law.
Okay, so I will clarify the pervert thing. If it's within your marriage, your spouse, it's fine. It's outside of that. Okay?
Right.
Yahweh has put a desire in us for the opposite sex, but at the same time, He told us when it's okay, and that's within the covenant of marriage. So if you want to be a pervert within the marriage when it's just you and your spouse,
Behind
not
closed,
some other pictures of some other person, it's fine. Okay,
yeah,
I'll leave it.
behind closed doors.
No, yeah, not to the public. Yes, good addition there. So if anything, I'm outing myself out. I like to look at my wife, which I don't have one right now, so I don't look at one, but I am looking forward to it in the future. So I'm outing myself out. Okay.
Yeah.
If nothing
Okay.
else.
Can I just say, you can't be a pervert if you're doing things within proper bounds. That's not perversion.
Okay, valid point. So I'm not a pervert. Thank you.
There you
That's
go.
it. That's it. Good
Perversion
job.
is when you
So
corrupt
Good
the
clarification.
natural.
Good
Hey,
clarification, Andrew. If you are following the order that Yahweh has ordained, you are not a pervert.
Okay, I like that clarification. I won't fight against it. But actually, I bet if we looked at the word, it would go with that because pervert is going against the right way, and if you're
Correct.
going within covenant of marriage, it's fine. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's like I said, stay away from idol worship. All forms of idol worship, including eating the food that comes from the God's table.
Yeah. Now I will say this. Part of this is I'll just say Christmas and Easter. Okay, because
Yeah.
are worshiping of idols. Okay. Now,
Thanksgiving.
and Thanksgiving and Valentine's is coming up, Halloween. I mean, we go on and on.
Yeah. So these are the big three right here. Don't engage in idol worship. Don't be a pervert, and
Obey
do kosher law.
do keep kosher law.
Right.
And go to synagogue so you can learn the rest of the law.
Yeah, and that's later. That's not in this verse, but those are the 4 from Acts 15, right? The Now there's a few others that we're not going to talk about because we're even sidetracked more than that. Now I do want to bring out. Let me. So at the end of verse of Leviticus 18, it brings out why it lists those three. Okay. So verse 29, I'll read. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, which is those three that we went over, in Acts 15 is a summary of those three, plus
Yep.
some more, including go learn more on the
Right.
Sabbath of Torah. Whosoever committed those three, even the souls that commit them, those three, shall be cut off from among the people, meaning either you're excommunicated or you're removed from the land, give or take what's the circumstances of what's going on and
Or
things.
Right.
prescribe punishments for certain activities.
Yeah, yes. So those three are the reason they're focusing on those three is because you're supposed to be cut off from the people if you do those three. Okay.
Any of those three.
Yes, any of those three. Now, I'm not going to spend time reading Leviticus 17 and 18 to go over that. You can do that on your own. It
Yeah.
is
But it's in
those
there.
three.
It's
Yes.
all in there.
Yes. So,
including the many ways and forms of porneia that you can get into.
Yes. Don't do that.
Please.
The bounds that you can do that is with your spouse and your spouse, period. Okay. There is it is to bind the husband and wife together because, for one, that's the only place you can get it,
Yep.
and it's a big drive. I mean, it may be more in men
It's a
than
very
women.
human drive. It's a very human drive.
It's in both of males and females.
Oh yeah.
It's bigger in males. There's anyways, but males and females are different. Males want the physical contact more, and females need the emotional support more. We'll just leave it at that because that's not the subject we're on right now. So let's look at some of these other letters within the New Testament that teach the same thing. So there's Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 10, which is another letter to the same city from Paul.
It was the first one from Second Corinthians, or is it also from First Corinthians?
The ones I know are 1 Corinthians, but I will admit,
I'm just talking about the one that we just went through. That's from
That was
First
First
Oh, that
Corinthians.
was 1 Corinthians. That was 1 Corinthians.
Yeah, so this is the same letter.
Is it the same letter?
Yeah,
First
absolutely.
Corinthians.
Well, yeah, but I thought so. This is maybe
This is the first epistle of Paul to the Corinthians.
Oh, so all the chapters are the one epistle?
Yep, they're one letter.
Oh, okay. All right. So I
all
was
one
wrong
letter.
about that part. So he's re-emphasizing again then within the one letter. Sorry about that.
Yep.
For some reason I was under the impression each chapter was a different letter, but I guess I'm wrong. That's fine. So with that, since Bryn knows more than that than me, can you read 20 and 21 for us?
But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice,
Okay, so Gentiles, the pagans, the non-believers, right?
Yeah, the goyim.
Yes.
Which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to Elohim. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils.
Okay, so wait a minute. So if we eat what was offered unto the devils knowingly,
We have associated ourselves with them.
We have fellowship with devils.
correct. Now, so I know I did not have enough time to glyph all this, but I am adding it as we're talking. It's knowingly, okay? And you'll even see this later as we
and
go on.
so again, ye cannot knowingly drink of the cup of Yahweh and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of Yahweh's table and the table of devils. So, in other words,
You can't serve two masters.
Yeah. But what this seems to me is that such an one ought not to be allowed to partake of the sacrament.
Yes, I
Yeah.
completely agree. If you're doing this knowingly, the Yahweh's table meal is the sacrament has been springing out here, just so people are understanding why he's saying that. Okay,
Right, right, right.
but
So
yes, you can't knowingly partake and support idol worship
and
and be of Yahweh.
pagan
Now,
holidays.
yes, which goes on pagan holidays, and to be specific, I'll name it again myself: Christmas, Easter, Valentine's, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and many others. Okay, um, there's a lot of them. So just don't practice the worldly holidays. There you go. Oh yeah, and one that just happened, New Year's Eve day. That's pagan too. The New Year's is in the spring, not the winter. And April's Fools actually was started when it went from Julian calendar, which started in the spring, to the Gregorian calendar, which in the winter. And April Fools was to shame people into not following Yahweh's law of
Yep,
in the spring. Okay.
pretty much.
I have stuff on
It
my
is.
calendar changes resource page on that. You don't have to believe me. Go research it. And I made it easy. Go just click on some links and read what other people have said. Um,
Yep.
so, anyways, along with that, so we're not going to read all of Corinthians 10:25 through 31. There is some minor JSTs or new translations there. Um, Andrew, can you read 1 Corinthians 10:25 for us?
Sure. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles, they eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
Mm-hmm.
So the shambles is basically the market, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
supermarket.
Makes sense.
And
yeah,
so if they're not advertising it was offered unto demons, don't ask.
yeah.
Right.
So
But
yeah, the
oh, go
the
ahead.
the thing is that yeah. So the reason that's called the shambles is because basically the market in those days was an outdoor affair.
In some
Mm-hmm.
places it still is even today.
It was
Yeah.
Well, you have like the farmers markets, even here in Utah and a lot of different
Well,
places.
actually, in the Middle East,
Um,
outdoor markets are still quite commonplace.
Yeah.
oh
yeah.
yeah,
So you would still and so you would go from stall to stall to purchase what it is you desired.
Or swap meets. That's very common for those who've done
Yeah.
Yep.
that.
Yep.
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 But
Yep.
it's still around. It's not the most popular in the USA. In other countries, it's still alive in various forms.
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
Um, and
Anyways,
then also here it says, I just want to reemphasize, if they're not telling you that it was offered unto
don't
idols,
ask.
don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Don't
that's
be like the
just
Pharisees. Don't be like the Pharisees.
yeah, yeah. If they advertise it, don't eat it. If they don't,
Well, that's what the next verse says.
yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. So I don't I seriously don't have all this memorized. I just
So hold
I
on.
understand the principle, and
Right.
hopefully people can see the principle being brought out from First Corinthians 8
Yep.
as with the retranslations I've did and the glyphing or commenting that I did inline, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's the
Yep.
same thing. It's just with bad translations and not knowing the principles, it's easy to misunderstand. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I need to pause for a minute. I'm sorry, guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So, since I basically just said what First Corinthians 10:28 says, I will just go ahead and read it. I'm serious, people. I'm not reading forward. Th- when you know the principles and the keys, it just makes sense and you can see what the verses are leading up to. Okay.
Mhm.
So, but anyways, here we go. But if any man say unto you, this offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not, for this, it says his, and this is where I didn't have time to look into the interlinear, but I would say his sake, or the sake that he told you this information that
Mhm.
showed it. So, meaning he told you it was offered unto idols, don't participate into that knowingly. Okay?
Mhm.
For conscience sake, and conscience has to do with discernment or knowing right from wrong, because Torah specifically states eating that was offered unto idols is wrong. And conscience tells you, even in modern vernacular, what is right and wrong, right?
Mhm.
So don't do what is wrong.
Mhm.
For the earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof. So because Yahweh's in charge, do what Yahweh says to do.
Mhm.
Is basically what that is saying.
Mhm.
So
So
Zach,
I was going to
right.
go into that for his sake. It's not necessarily you refusing the meat actually does wonders for his salvation. It's you're he's revealed it to I was going to say he's revealed it to you just okay,
If you love me, keep my commandments.
basically. Yep.
Yeah. To quote a verse, I think what's going along with what Ben is bringing out. If you love me, keep my commandments according to Yeshua. And I believe Yeshua, so I'm going to do my
By the way,
best.
since Yeshua is the mortal manifestation of Yahweh. Oh, wait a minute.
That's modalism.
That's the Ten Commandments are his commandments.
Yes. Yeah, because of modalism, because because it's the same soul in two different modes.
Uh-huh.
It's his.
It's the same soul playing two different characters.
Yes. Which goes along with lectures on faith. Five, right?
Yep.
Um, uh, dang it. It's amazing how these things connect together when it's the truth.
Hmm.
Um, Brendan, will you read Revelations 2:14 for us, please?
But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balac to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication.
Okay, so to me, it's pretty obvious here within this book of Revelations, which, for those who are not aware, it was written after Yeshua's death and resurrection, and it's pointing to how what's taught in the five books of Moses is still valid here, right?
Right.
And that we should not eat meat offered unto idols. And I'm going to put a glyph here, in as we're speaking, knowingly. Okay, don't go crazy. Don't be a zealot, right?
Hmm.
If they post it, which generally speaking, those who were doing that for worship of idols, they made it public because that's why they
Hmm.
were doing it in the first place, right?
Right.
So if they're not posting it, the likelihood of them doing it for that is very slim to none. So you
Hmm.
don't need to make a big deal out of it.
Hmm.
Um,
So now this is an interesting thing here because of the historical reference that it makes. Um, Now this portion of this chapter is written to the is written to the church in Smyrna, which is a Greek city-state in what is now modern-day Turkey. Um, and it they were there was a lot of there was a lot of persecution of the people. They had tribulation. The members of the church there were not rich. They were persecuted by the Jews. Um, so and
And the other local and the other
and the other local
pagan local.
and the other local people as well.
Yeah.
And Yahweh lets them know that he knows of their situation, but he also lets them know that they're harboring this in their midst.
As in they need to do some corrections, right?
Yes, they're harboring those who hold the doctrine of Balaam. Now, what is the doctrine of Balaam? Let's go to
Or one of them, right? It's
yeah,
total.
yeah. There's he was basically teaching Israel to sin. Um,
Yes,
and
there's some specifics on that.
so wait a minute. Doesn't that sound like telling Christians that Torah is done away?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because it's not. It was the law of Moses, the punishments, primarily the two daily lambs, and there are some others which we're not going to focus on, that was done away at the cross. It was not Torah.
So those who hold, so it's really interesting that it's the descendants of these people who were harboring people who, it's the descendants of that faith that was harboring people who taught the doctrines of Balaam that teach that the Torah is done away.
So just a quick history, which Ben will get into more specifics, so I'll just give some generals. That Balaam was a prophet of Yahweh. He was tempted by money from Balak, right?
Yeah, from Balac.
The
Yeah.
Balac. Okay, I said it wrong. That to curse the Israelites. Yahweh would not do that. And Balaam said he couldn't say anything but what Yahweh said, and he did stay true to that. But he still was tempted by the honor and money, but Balak was going to give him. So he told Balak how to get Israelites to curse themselves.
Yeah. As we'll read about here in Deuteronomy chapter 31.
Oh,
Um,
I don't have that. So
oh, sorry. Wait, let me see what.
I think
Yeah.
you mean number. Do you mean Numbers 31?
Yeah, Numbers 31. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay, all right. So I do
Numbers
have
31,
that one
16.
prepared.
Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor or Baal Peor. And
Yeah.
there was a plague among the congregation of Yahweh.
Meaning
So
that. Oh, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
so Balaam used got Balak to use the women of his country to entice the men of Israel into the participation in their religious rites and rituals, in which, as we will find out as we read in
Numbers
uh,
25.
Numbers 25, included eating the food sacrificed to idols. The
Correct. So
so
I will just say this: women do have a power over men. Okay. Now, that could be for righteousness or wickedness, and depending on the man, uh, he will give in into wickedness or not. Okay. Now, a lot of these
I
men
would s-
did give into.
I would say the women have influence, extreme influence on
Oh
men.
yeah, that's a better sure. That's probably a better way to say it in today's vernacular. They have a lot of
Mhm.
influence
Mhm.
over men. Um, I Yahweh put in men a desire to be with women, and he put in desire in women to be with men. Now, the question is within the bounds that he sets,
Mhm.
being together and what they do once they're together, right? So, anyway.
And there's actually something there's actually something to there's actually something um to the fact to the things that women desire from men that actually causes men to to they can actually cause men to walk in their Toric responsibilities to their family.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is that desire for stability, that desire uh, for a prosperous place wherein the family can be nurtured. That will they will influence men to continually expand um, to continually expand uh, their power circle because
Influence and
women
their power and their money, right? So that way
yeah
they can take care of their immediate family.
they care for their family. Now the and so that is and so in many ways the interplays between men and women that are in many ways extremely annoying, and yet at the same time they're absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and I will say this just real quick because this is not the subject we're on, but I do think it's important with what we're sidetracking on right now. The patterns of how men and women are to act righteously with each other matches how Yahweh works with his church of the firstborn. Um,
Mhm.
and Paul brings that out to some degree in his letters, but it's very deep, and I'll just leave it at that.
Mhm.
Um, the husband and wife relationship matters Yahweh in the Church of the Firstborn on many aspects and many levels. Okay. So, Ben's going to bring out Numbers 25, 1 through 5, which he found to help with the lesson today, about some of the specifics that Numbers 31:16 talks about, which includes how
Mhm.
one of the things that they used, that Balaam taught Balak to use against the Israelites, showing he knew what the law was to get them to tempt them to not keep it, as in he was a true prophet of Yahweh that then later fell,
Mhm.
it is eating food sacrificed unto idols.
Well, and it just goes to show that covetousness is the ultimate downfall of even the servants. Is the ultimate downfall of even the servants of Yah. He coveted that money that was promised to him.
Well, and the glory and the power.
Yep. And so he did that which was grievous in the sight of Yahweh. And when Israel came through his land, he was slain and left to be eaten by the eagles.
Right. Which also shows that there were prophets outside of Israel.
Hmm.
He
Oh,
was not
wait
Israel.
a minute. You mean that Israel's not the only nation that God has known?
Yes, exactly. Which
Yeah.
goes along with Second Nephi 29, even.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here it is, an example of that here in the Bible, right? So,
Yep.
anyways, go ahead, Ben.
And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat.
There's those food sacrificed unto the false gods, right?
And bowed down to their gods.
Yep.
And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor. And the anger of Yahweh is kindled against Israel. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before Yahweh against the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may be turned away from Israel. And Moshe said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor.
So this hanging the heads of the people, this is hanging them from a tree.
Cursed is he that hangeth from a tree.
Yeah. So for those, I know there's sadly people who claim to want to keep Torah that claim that hanging from the tree is pagan. No, that's Toric. Here it's in the Book of Mormon, Third Nephi something. Sorry, one of the earlier chapters. It's in Torah. Other than just this one, and here is an example of it being stated to do because of they were sinning.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look at notes where it's actually stated in Torah. It's hard to remember everything.
But
Um,
yeah, so this is the thing here. This is one of those places where it becomes exceedingly clear we are not. If we have when we have come under the covering of Yeshua HaMashiach, and we are seeking to become like him, we are in the we have been justified in his blood.
or in other words, there's his life and righteousness, right?
But also his blood shed for us that we could be justified.
Yes.
And we go and we turn back to our pagan ways. It is death.
Yeah. As in separation from Yah.
hmm It is death. Yeah, so that and he's correct in that. The separation from Yah, it is as if there was no atonement made for you.
Yeah. And then here it is specifically physical death, but the one that we need to worry most about is spiritual death.
The man dies without mercy who breaks the law of Moses. Under the with the with under the testimony of two or three witnesses.
Yeah.
Paraphrase the
And on
Hebrew.
that, I do believe he means more Torah than.
Yeah, I think that one is more of it's kind of a I do think he does mean Torah there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So just so people are clear, sometimes in the scriptures, law of Moses is punishments plus the law of Yahweh, Yeshua, Torah, and sometimes it's separate. It's without the knowledge of what is what, it can be confusing. But when you know what it is, some of it's translation issues, and some of it's just the way the personal preference of a person likes to talk about it. So.
so once again, my point is we cannot sit at the devil's table. We cannot eat from the quote unquote table of the gods.
Right, as in the Greek theology there, or
Right. We
mythology, maybe it's probably
if
better, but
you
right.
if you wish to if we wish to remain covered, we have to keep our promises.
Yeah, and on that, before we're baptized, we promise to keep all of Yahweh's commandments, aka Torah. Okay.
Mhm. And it's made very clear here that eating of food offered to idols, it's almost like if we look at this here, they called unto the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. So they come out and they see what they're doing with to their gods, then they eat the meal, and then they bow down.
As
It's
in,
a
it's a progression going from
Mhm.
simpler to more fulfilling and doing it and being part of it.
Mhm.
Or, as in with Eve, they first saw and desired and then did.
How can you turn away from Babylon when you're engaging fully in its practices.
You can't, because you actually are enjoying it because you like your sins more than Yeshua.
Yeah.
And so you will not turn away from Babylon or Satan because you're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the big lesson there that we get from the doctrines of Balaam. He basically infiltration, corruption,
And
redemption.
even under the point are on things that first initially start to look like it's no big deal. I mean,
Mhm.
this even goes along with how Eve started with eating the forbidden fruit.
Which goes back to that whole thing of don't be in, that whole thing of even appearing, e- even the appearance of evil must be
Yeah,
shown.
right there. Because
Even
it
the
starts small. You think you're righteous, but you're not being very wise about your righteousness, right?
they're still keeping their Torah, but they're still keeping the Torah, but they're going out and they're seeing what they're doing at the temple,
Yeah, yeah,
at
or
their temple.
they're getting as close to the fence line or the borders as they think they can get away with.
Hey, come and eat this food. It's been sacrificed to this god. Oh, well, it smells delicious.
Yeah, just like that apple.
Right.
I mean, that's the Christian tradition. The Jewish tradition is fig. And I'll tell you, it wasn't a fruit. It was sin
Hmm.
because it came off of Satan's tree. It's sin, but um, I we don't know the specific sin.
Hmm.
It's just sin. Okay, fruits are works.
Yeah.
She did work of sin. So okay.
Well, I mean, yeah. So it's that, and so that's interesting. So moving on to
So,
Revelation 2:20.
yeah, so let me read this one, and then Ben will talk about some history that goes along with it, okay? So Revelations 2:20, notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee. This is Yahweh against this particular city, which I don't remember which one it is. Um, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, so this is not the ancient one, but a current one, and Ben will get into, or current to them at the time.
Hmm.
Ben will get into that in just a minute. Which calleth herself a prophetess to teach and seduce my Yahweh's servants to commit fornication, or this is going to be pornea, anything sexual sins, okay,
Hmm.
and eat things sacrificed unto idols. So here's another instance that shows how eating things knowingly sacrificed unto idols is a sin. Okay. And so Ben's going to get in some of the history because he's
Okay.
better at
So
that than I am.
the name of that city is Thyatira. It's a city in Asia Minor, again, Turkey, um, present day Turkey. And this was a place where the people were doing good works. I know thy works and thy charity and thy service and faith and thy patience and thy works, the last to be more than the first. They were doing the good works. They were doing the charity, but they had a false prophetess in their midst. Now, was her name actually Jezebel? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it could be that they just labeled her that because she was doing the
they,
same things as the ancient
yeah,
historical one, right?
yeah, they label her Jezebel because of the resemblance of what she's doing to the works of Jezebel, the queen of Ahab's queen in Israel, who led to the destruction of the nation. Well, at least to the destruction of his line, that's for sure.
Yes.
Um,
Though
because
she did cause many people to sin with her
yeah, she caused many
temptations and abominations,
she
right?
caused many people to perish in sin. Uh, Reinforced the ties between Israel and Baal. See, the common denominator between Balaam and Jezebel is Baal.
Hmm. Which is a focus on various
Which
aspects.
is the
Say,
deification, who is the deification of Nimrod.
yeah, representing Satan, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, representing Satan, of course, because,
Yeah.
well, he was a good representation. Anyway,
Yes, he was, that's for sure.
so that's
He was a Cain after the flood, right?
yes, he
Yeah.
was literally, yeah, he was a man of incredible ambition and thirst for power, and uh he used religion to that end.
Yes.
Um, but Jezebel basically did the same thing and had the same ambitions, and um she was not a she was not a virtuous woman. She was a whore.
Yes.
Ahab and Jezebel and we'll just say they had an open relationship. Um, let the STDs flow. But the but the so the, but the when she found out that she's about to be destroyed, that Samaria is about to be taken by Yehu, and she's about to be destroyed, she thinks by putting on her makeup, getting all dolled up, she can seduce Yehu. And so, well, that didn't work.
No.
Yehu caused her to meet the stones below.
Hmm.
So, but the thing is, this is the kind of woman that she was, and her sole purpose was to build up. Her sole desire was to build up the worship of Baal, because the worship of Baal is enshrining basically enshrines the present leadership.
Which gave her power and prestige and money, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which is the same thing that people are tempted with today.
And so we have here two people doing the same thing for the same reasons. And the church fell.
Yes, and within the historical Jezebel, as in the Old Testament, Tanakh, she did. It is specifically stated that she did cause people to worship Baal,
Hmm. And
which
to commit fornications and to commit fornications and to be and do all the things that are associated with the worship of Baal,
which
including eating from the table of the gods.
correct, or as in food offered unto false gods, which Revelations 2:20 is calling out specifically, right?
And which
Among
the
other verses in the five books of Moses.
and which Numbers shows to be an intermediate step on the path to the ultimate rejection of Torah.
Correct. So, hopefully, with all these different verses, you were done, right, Ben?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
Yeah.
good.
So hopefully with all these additional verses, retranslation of a few words here, and the commentary on 1 Corinthians 8, hopefully it is clear that Paul is teaching Torah. He's just saying, don't freak out about it. Also, don't make it look like you're doing something that you're actually not doing.
Right.
In that, keep Torah, because of the idea that if the food was actually offered unto idols, they would advertise it because that's what people are buying it for, as in verse 7 brings out. You don't
Yes.
need to ask them because they advertise it. If you find out about it, don't eat it. If they didn't tell you, just assume that they didn't offer it unto idols, and don't freak out. Don't be a zealot about it.
Yeah. The thing is that most people, when they were offering food blessed by a certain god, i.e., offered to that god and then repurchased, blessed by a certain god, they would make sure that you knew about it.
Yeah, so you didn't need to
This
ask.
food is blessed by this god.
Yeah, so there was no reason to need to ask because they
Yeah.
advertised it. So you didn't have to be extra careful about it because they told you about it, because that was the reason that people bought it. And don't go into a temple where they're doing that and eat with them, so that way those weaker in the faith think that you're doing something that's actually sinful, which would then cause them to do something it's sin.
Exactly.
So because they're confused about what's going on, hence abstain from any appearance of evil.
Does this now does this mean that if your family that does not believe has a Christmas dinner that you should not attend it?
That's, I think, another subject. It's debatable. So um, I've
I
heard
would,
arguments various ways.
yeah, it's one of those things that gather wisdom,
Yes.
act in wisdom in all ways.
I would, and this is me. If you do, make sure that they know that you don't believe in practicing it, but you're there to spend time with them. But this is where been brought up, use wisdom. So,
Hmm.
anyways, I think with that we'll end in the name of Yeshua the Messiah, and I actually come to him and his ways. The New Testament and the Book of Mormon and the D&C bring out that even after Yeshua's death and resurrection, Torah, his eternal law, is still valid. And it teaches you how to be like him. I- Believers love to claim that they want to be like him. The scriptures teach you how to do that. And they're consistent throughout time. Otherwise, he would be a respecter of persons, because he would respecter of person is someone who requires a different standard for different people. It's the same standard throughout eternity, which includes mortality, all of it. All 7,000 years of mortality has the same standard. The same standards in eternity also. If you hate the standard now, you're gonna hate it after your resurrection, as in Alma 34 brings out, that you'll have the same behavior when you die, that you'll have that in the resurrection. So I don't
I
know if anybody else wants to add anything real quick.
Okay, I just would like to say these verses are often when people teach these verses, it's almost like they're looking for an excuse to relax the commandment not to eat food sacrificed to idols.
I agree.
Stop.
I've looked around myself, especially when I first started learning. Um, no one knows what to do with this, really.
All I have
Yahweh
to,
gave this to me, and because of helping burn out with his kosher and health page, I shared it with him, and then like we should share this online. So
so all I have to say is stop.
yeah, amen.
Stop looking for reasons to relax the commandments. Stop looking for ways to render the mind and will of Elohim null and void.
Amen.
If you claim to believe in Yahweh and you say that Torah is invalid, you have just invalidated the mind and will of the God you claim to love.
Yeah. Which he says, if you love me, keep my commandments.
That is exactly what he says. If you love me, keep my commandments. And when you realize that Yahweh is Yeshua, is Yahweh, the Ten Commandments and Torah and everything in the Old Testament that is prescriptive, not descriptive.
And not a prescribed punishment, but anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And not a prescribed punishment. It's still the mind and will of Yahweh. And it is after you have come under the covering of the blood of the Lamb, the power of Yahweh unto salvation, and it will give you what you need to become like him, which you say you want to do, and you say you took his name upon you, but you have left it so that you can feel good in your sins.
Yeah, so name means character, and I want to bring out that in 2 Nephi 29, it talks about how that people deny the power of Yeshua, and the power of Yeshua is Torah. It is because he kept Torah, and everything it states as punishment and curses, which is what he does.
So, love, actually love your Elohim. And don't make him punish you.
Give him reasons to bless you. I mean, I don't know about you. I want blessings, not cursings. Maybe I have a problem, but that's what I want. And you
Yeah,
get the blessings by keeping
you
his
get the
law,
blessing.
Torah.
You get the blessings by becoming,
Yeah,
because those blessings can only be properly appreciated by those who have become.
yeah.
And
Because they're the ones that are going to understand it, if nothing else.
he's not going to throw his pearls before swine,
You mean like unkosher?
unkosher, unclean,
Me?
and the people who eat such are unkosher, unclean. If you eat pig, you are pig.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop being the creature.
As in the natural man.
Become who you were supposed to be. Become who you came down here to become. Walk in the ways of Torah. And don't walk after idols. Be a pervert. And disobey kosher law and avoid others who are keeping Torah. Meet together oft with those who want to become.
Yeah.
And we'll help each other get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what, and I'll leave that out there. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I mean.
Amen. Does anybody else want to add anything real quick? Oh, okay.